Hello, viewers. We have with us scientist Dr. T.V Venkateswaran from Vigyan Prasar. He is here to answer some questions on Chandrayaan-3 and he will give us a detailed view of what exactly is happening with India's moon mission. Hello, sir.
Hello,
Uh,
hi.
I would like you to first address what exactly is soft landing. And there's a lot of talk about this 15 minutes of terror. So,
Yeah,
if you could explain the process
yeah.
in simpler terms.
Okay. See, soft landing on Earth, for example, if I say a soft landing, aeroplane landing on a runway is soft landing. Okay, or a helicopter, landing on a helipad is a soft landing. Or if a person jumps out of aircraft with a parachute, within quotes, that person, he or she, lands softly on the ground. Okay, so this is what is soft landing. So essentially, on Earth, we use a wing, a parachute, or the helicopter's blades for soft landing. So soft landing essentially means you are reducing the speed of the gravity's acceleration so that you are landing in a particular velocity which is sustainable. Sustainable meaning that it doesn't break your system. That is, if you're falling from a aircraft with a parachute, you don't want to break your legs, right? So basically, you should be able to come down with that acceptable speed. That's what the whole point is. When I talk about other celestial bodies, okay, it's very easy to drop something on other celestial body. It can go and crash, but then I have to safely land, meaning that my lander should be the integrity of my lander should be preserved. Okay, so that's the essential part. So if you look at a celestial object like a moon, which does not have any air, atmosphere, I cannot use the method that I use in wings or parachute or the blades of a helicopter, right, to land. I have to think of a different way. That is where the challenge comes. So, to answer your question, the soft landing means that you are landing at a speed which is preserving the integrity of the object, whether it is a human being or others. Okay, so number one. Number two, you need to do something to reduce the speed. That's what is the whole idea. Here we are using the air drag to reduce the speed. So on the moon, we will have to think of a different system. The system basically that we are thinking of is rocket itself. Okay. Let's look at it like this. Suppose, let's say I'm standing in a garden holding a hose pipe. Okay. And you open the tap, the water is coming out of the pipe with a great speed, like a jet. Okay. You will feel that your pipe is pushing you back. Okay. So the water comes on one side, the pipe is pushed on the other side. So this is basically Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is the principle of rocket. Suppose if I, instead of holding the pipe straight, suppose I hold the pipe bottom down. So the jet comes down. So I will have a push which is upwards, right? So basically, when a spacecraft is landing on moon, I need to fire the rocket downwards so that there is an upward thrust which will counter the gravity's pull, moon's gravity's pull, so that I will descend slowly. Okay, so this is called as powered descent. Whereas, for example, a parachute is not a powered descent. It's just a parachute, right? So here it's a powered descent. So that powered descent is what is planned in Chandrayaan-3. Not just Chandrayaan-3. Anyone who has landed on the moon has to use some kind of a powered descent to land. So we have defined a particular kind of power descent. So first to kill the horizontal velocity, then kill the vertical velocity. So make it zero by the time you reach about 800 meters above the surface of the lunar surface, wherever you want to land. And then slowly modulate the downward thrust so that the craft will slowly descend to the ground. That's the idea.
Right. So, what are the challenges that Chandrayaan 3 could face in achieving this soft landing on Moon's surface?
So basically, the challenge is because of that. So because of that, I have to use the same rocket to reduce my horizontal velocity. So I will have to fire in the front, reduce it, then turn my craft, fire below so that I reduce this. So I will have to do two steps. One, I will have to make the craft move like this, fire here, reduce the speed, make it zero or near zero, then turn it here, and then it will fall. So I should fire here and then make it reduce zero. And at about 800 meters above the lunar surface, I have to make the craft float. That is my downward thrust because of the rocket, downward thrust because of the gravity, and the upward thrust generated because of the rocket should balance each other so that it should float at the same place. Then I should slowly modulate my rocket so that when it can come down. That's where the trickiness comes in.
Right.
All this cannot be controlled from ground because the signal will take about 1 and 1/4 second to reach moon. Okay, so you cannot control like a remote car from ground. So you have to build artificial intelligence, which will have to take into account the changing parameters and then act accordingly. So it's a very, very tricky stuff. That is why all robotic missions are very tricky. In fact, until now, there have been 54 missions. If I take Luna also, 55 missions to safe land. Roughly 50% of them have failed. Only 1 in 2 have succeeded.
We know what happened with Luna 25, but could Chandrayaan 3 face similar challenges as Luna 25? Is there a possibility of that?
So what happened in Luna 25 is even before it started descending on moon surface, it's a maneuver for aligning itself for landing. Okay, let me explain it this way. Suppose if an aircraft starts from Delhi and comes to Chennai, so the aircraft will be traveling southwards. But if you look at the runway in Chennai, one of the runway in Chennai is basically east-west. So either I have to come from west and land, or I have to come from east and land. That is why many people who have come to Chennai will see that the aircraft will go over the sea and then turn and then come from east to west, right? Or it will go over the land, go toward the thing and then turn, right? So basically now you are aligning yourself to the landing strip, which is very different from your travel from Delhi to Chennai, right? Both are two different stuff. Same way, when I have to land in a particular area on the moon, I can't just land anywhere. I have to land in a particular decided place. Okay. So if I have to land in that particular strip on the moon, then I will have to align myself to that strip. So while aligning for this landing, you have to reduce the speed of the craft. So that's what they were doing. Luna 25 was doing. And then, unfortunately, more momentum was given instead of 1.5 impulse was given. So the whole orbit became unsustainable. They tried to revive and then they tried to create a alternate landing mechanism. That also kind of failed and then it crashed. Uh, in a way, Chandrayaan has crossed that particular part because already we are now in that 2515 orbit. Okay, so we are not exactly in the same process, but then you will also note that the original projection was 30 kilometers. Now we are 25 kilometers. So originally we planned to land at 5:47. Now ISRO has said that we are going to land at 6:04. Okay, because we are in only our descent will start from 25 kilometers. So you'll have to change the timing, right? So rocket science is rocket science. It's very complicated. So many factors are involved. So we hope the best. I mean, of course, we work for the best. We prepare for the best. But then sometimes such things can happen.
So once the landing is done, what is the first set of data that Chandrayaan 3 would send out?
Yeah. After the landing, the moment one of the lander leg touches the ground of lunar surface, you will get a signal. So you will know that the landing has occurred. Okay, so that's number one. And after that, for a few hours, nothing will happen because you will wait for this dust to settle.
Right.
There will be a huge dust plume because of the fall. because the surface of the moon is very fine powder. Okay, because of that, when the fall happens, there'll be a lot of dust that will be going out. Few hours, you will just sit silent. And then after that, the door will open and the rover will come out. The rover will take a photograph of the lander, and the lander will take a photograph of the rover. These two images will come to ISRO center. That's what everybody is waiting for.
There have been previous missions that have collected data about lunar regolith, the dust you were talking about on the moon's surface. What is Chandrayaan-3 going to provide exclusively on this front about lunar regolith?
Okay, so one of the experiment which is inbuilt into the lander is a experiment called CHASTE. Basically, it will measure the thermal conductivity. Okay, let's look at our school physics. Okay, so when we studied in school, we read that metal is a good conductor of heat, but whereas a wood is not a good conductor of heat. That is why many of the ladles you have a wooden handle, so it won't transmit heat. What is the heat conductivity of regolith? Does it change? Does it change according to the angle of the sun? Okay, so if the sun is at the horizon, what is the thermal conductivity? When the sun is at high noon, what is the thermal conductivity? These are all the questions that about the regolith the Chandrayaan-3 will ask. Okay, at different depths, not just at one place, different depths. So there is a instrument which can go inside the regolith. Okay, there are two rods, each will go inside. One of them will transmit heat, the other will measure it. So in between there will be a particular gap, so it will measure. So by that you will measure the thermal conductivity.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and let's hope that Chandrayaan-3 achieves a soft landing
Yeah,
and India's flag flies high.
that's right. Thank you. That's perfectly fine. Good.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.